Another development tonight in a deadly officer-involved shooting in San Diego. The victim's family released new documents. A key report offers another look at what happened before the shooting.
You have both the breeding and the harvesting that have to be kind of married together.
Just in time for holiday meals that need that extra kick. The chili harvest season is wrapping up. Next, the challenges for growers who are dealing with a labor shortage.
Usually we just end up waiting in the terminal for a while, but it's a good time.
And pack your patience. The busiest travel day of the season is happening now. The hurry up and wait strategy facing passengers at San Diego's International Airport. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Anderson. New documents are out today detailing the shooting of Fridun Nihad by a San Diego police officer. Today, his family released the police investigators' report on the shooting. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has more on the document, which offers a closer look at what happened before the shooting.
From all the documents made public, one of the murkiest details is what Officer Browder said to Nihad before he shot him. The police investigators' report from the crime scene cites two witnesses. The first one was the person who called 911, reporting a man with a knife. He said he clearly heard Officer Browder state, "Drop it." The second witness was a bystander. He described Officer Browder taking a semi-aggressive stance and that he did not hear the officer say anything to Nihad. Officer Browder said in his statement that he couldn't remember if he said anything or not. Just yesterday, District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis released surveillance video that captured the shooting. That's after saying for months it should not be made public. The Nihad family's lawyer, Skip Miller, says they're disappointed by Dumanis's actions and her portrayal of the facts.
It was an unjustified shooting, and it was an unjustified decision for her to do nothing about it. The family doesn't ever want anything like this to occur again. That's the critical issue for them.
Dumanis chose not to charge Browder with a crime, saying he had a reasonable fear for his life. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
We have more on the officer-involved incident at kpbs.org. That's where we've posted the surveillance video showing that shooting. The video online is graphic, and some might find it disturbing. Following up on a legal settlement covering nearly 100 Mexicans who are trying to make it back into the United States, the American Civil Liberties Union filed a lawsuit 2 years ago accusing Homeland Security of overusing a procedure known as a voluntary return. This allows the agency to expel people from the country. Under terms of the settlement, the government agreed to allow some of those people back into the U.S. Their applications need to be filed by midnight. A new trend is emerging along the U.S.-Mexico border. Immigration and customs officials say that deportations dropped to a nearly 10-year low for the U.S. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero says the trend reflects a change in immigration patterns.
Immigration officials say they're deporting fewer people because illegal immigration into the U.S. has decreased. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deported 235,413 people this fiscal year. That's the lowest level since 2006. Last year, the agency deported nearly 316,000 people. Officials say the drop in deportations is also tied to the fact that they're focusing their efforts on immigrants with criminal convictions. More than half of those deported had committed a crime. San Diego-based immigrant rights groups say they hope the data will help change the debate about immigration reform.
Is tripling resources at the border a good idea? No. What we need to be doing here in the border region is revitalizing, not militarizing the region.
Of the more than 235,000 people deported nationwide this fiscal year, nearly 20,000 were deported from San Diego. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
Insurance commissioners in several states, including California, have discovered a massive life insurance fraud across the country, and now they're moving to fix it. A national investigation led to several life insurance companies agreeing to pay out more than $1 billion to beneficiaries. Investigators discovered that those companies failed to reach out to next of kin when they knew a death benefit needed to be paid.
And the life insurance companies use this database that's populated with information about everyone who passes away in the United States to their economic advantage. When they had to make payments to people who had something called an annuity, where basically you're being promised by the insurance company that they'll make a payment to you over time in exchange for you giving them money up front, they used the database to figure out if people that they had annuities with had passed away, so they'd stop making annuity payments. But they didn't use the database to figure out if people that had life insurance policies with them had passed away, so they could pay out money to those people's spouses, children, grandchildren. Well, that's simply wrong.
In California, the companies Jackson National and AXA agreed to a multi-million-dollar settlement. The companies also promised to reform their business practices. A new report is raising questions about the state agency responsible for protecting California workers. The agency oversees a large Latino workforce, but only a few of the agency's enforcement officers are fluent in Spanish. Chris Young reported on this story for KPBS media partner iNewsSource. Chris, you reported the Division of Occupational Safety and Health, or Cal OSHA, has fewer than 200 officials who inspect workplaces for safety hazards. How many of those officials speak Spanish?
Records show that only 22 of the agency's inspectors are fluent in Spanish. That's important because these officials are on the front lines of safety enforcement at job sites. And workplace safety advocates told me that it's crucial for inspectors to be able to communicate with workers. Spanish is obviously a very important language here in California. The state has nearly 7 million Latino workers, many of whom only speak Spanish.
Last month, the State Assembly held a hearing on workplace safety for Latinos. What did you hear about the dangers Latinos face on the job?
They talked a lot about the alarming injury and death rates for Latino workers. In 2013, for example, the nationwide fatality rate for Latinos was 18 times higher than the rate for other workers. Debbie Berkowitz was one of the speakers at the hearing. She's a senior fellow at the National Employment Law Project, a Washington, D.C.-based worker advocacy organization.
The high rate of work-related deaths and injuries among Latino workers is a tragedy that must be addressed. But these deaths and injuries are not only tragic, as you will hear, they are preventable. No worker in this day and age should have to sacrifice their health or life to earn a paycheck.
Berkowitz and other speakers suggested ways to improve safety conditions for Latino workers. They talked about stepping up enforcement and engaging the Spanish-speaking community to educate them about their workplace rights. Some also stressed how important it is for Cal OSHA inspectors to reflect the state's diverse workforce.
So how does having more Spanish-speaking inspectors actually help protect Latino workers?
Worker advocates say it would go a long way toward building a rapport with the Latino community. They say it would likely increase the chances that Latinos report workplace safety hazards. Cal OSHA also acknowledged that having more Spanish-speaking officials would probably improve the quality of their inspections. The agency said it encourages bilingual candidates to apply for open positions, but we'll have to see if that translates into more Spanish-speaking hires in the future.
iNewsSource reporter Chris Young. Thanks, Chris. Today is expected to be the busiest travel day of the year. More than 65,000 travelers are going to be moving through Lindbergh Field today. The flight status page for the airport showing a couple of delays this evening. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh shows us that the people who are trying to make it home for the holidays facing some obstacles.
By late morning, lines were forming at the ticket counters, the baggage check, and in front of screeners at Lindbergh Field. 7% more people than last year are expected to use the airport on this, the busiest travel day of the year.
Things are going pretty smoothly right now, but again, it is going to be very busy today, which is why we are encouraging people to arrive early to help relieve some of that stress.
Patience is the name of the game for Peter Van Voorhis and his family who are traveling to San Francisco for the holiday.
You know, we always make sure we get here early just to make sure that we can check in, but usually we just end up waiting in the terminal for a while, but it's a good time.
The second and third busiest days are also coming up quickly, the Sunday after Christmas and the Sunday after New Year's Day. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
All paws are on deck to help ease the stress of holiday travel this year. United Airlines letting out a team of professionally trained comfort dogs at 7 airports nationwide, including LAX, Los Angeles. Now, the United Paws program aims to reduce stress and anxiety for holiday travelers. Today is the last day you can spot the pups at the airport. Holiday travel rush is also hitting the roadways. AAA expecting more than 90 million people to be driving over this holiday period. The group cites low gas prices. San Diego's average fuel price for regular stands at $2.87 today. That's about 10 cents above last month. The national average today is $2 a gallon. Escondido has the lowest price gas right now. The most expensive gas is in National City. Associated Press reporter Padmanabha Rama explains why fuel prices are so low and if experts expect prices to go up next year.
This year for drivers, it's the gift that just kept on giving.
Well, it's fun to watch it on the boards as you pass by.
When I put gas on my car, I remember 1 year ago, I had to put around $50. Now maybe with 36 or $38, I fill it on my car.
Low gas prices are helping drivers fuel up their tanks while saving money. AAA estimates gas prices are down an average of 64 cents a gallon, reducing costs by $100 billion compared to last year. Nationwide, that's a savings of $550 for every driver.
This is the first time in 81 months, roughly 6.5 years, that we've seen prices in the $2 a gallon range.
And that's great news for consumers.
Well, it's really surprising to see how prices have fallen so extremely low and stayed low. It's hard to imagine that these are natural reasons for it, but hey, I guess I'll enjoy it while it's here.
Experts say the current excess supply of crude oil is fueling the drop in prices, but it won't last forever.
When we get to March, and we start seeing the changeovers from winter blends of fuel to more complicated to refined summer blends of fuel, we could see prices jump by about 50 cents a gallon. So it's a nice Christmas present, but it's not going to last.
Yet analysts expect 2015 to set a record for the amount of new vehicles sold in the U.S. That number is expected to be more than 18 million.
Half of those new vehicles are thirsty pickup trucks and SUVs. So, folks are really taking advantage of these lower prices. I just hope that they will not one day rue the day that they bought that big, heavy, thirsty vehicle because things change.
But for now, drivers see the low gas price as a welcome gift. Padmanabha Rama, The Associated Press.
There is a break today from a double-headed storm system that's been moving through San Diego, but keep that umbrella handy. Also, a white Christmas may surprise some people out in the East County. Steph Davis is tracking that and more in tonight's KPBS Weather Report.
Well, we're dealing with fairly unsettled conditions across much of the southwestern United States this Wednesday. Satellite and radar pretty active, showing clouds, showers, and mountain snow. Taking a closer look in around home, that's what we've been dealing with throughout the day. Clouds building in, a couple of sprinkles here as well. We do currently have a coastal flood advisory in effect through Friday morning, so definitely want to exercise caution if you're heading to the water. Also, a high wind watch in effect for the desert slopes and the mountains. We do expect some winds to kind of howl through that area, so that high wind watch is in effect until Friday morning as well. Now, conditions will continue to improve as we head into tonight. We'll dry things out, catching a break from the rain. Clear and 30 tonight in Mount Laguna, clear skies in San Diego as overnight lows tumble back to 55 degrees. Looking ahead to our Thursday, a storm system will continue to work its way towards our area. During the day Thursday, much of Southern California will remain dry and seasonable. This system will sink to the south and east Thursday night and into Friday, helping to prompt some wet weather as we head towards our Christmas Friday. Future temperatures showing overnight lows falling back into the 40s in Borrego Springs and Mount Laguna, 37 tonight in Alpine, right around 50 degrees for your estimated overnight low in San Diego. For Thursday, getting up around 9 a.m., we'll have a daytime high of 52 in Oceanside, 55 right around 9 a.m. in San Diego. And then temperatures, of course, will continue to climb as we head towards the afternoon. Estimated daytime highs for tomorrow looking like 60 in Borrego Springs, 61 San Diego, 54 is your daytime high for your Thursday in Mount Laguna. Here's a look at your 5-day forecast for the coast. Partial sunshine Thursday, daytime high 63. Clouds and showers arrive Thursday night, lingering into Friday morning. So if you're heading out for Christmas morning services, keep an eye to the sky for those showers, daytime high 60. And then we'll dry things out as we head into Saturday and Sunday. A stray afternoon shower on deck for the coast on Monday. Again, those coastal flood advisories do remain in effect until Friday morning. Looking a little bit farther inland, partly sunny skies returning to the area Thursday. High temperature 64. Same deal here. Clouds and showers arrive Thursday night into your Christmas morning, so grab the umbrellas if you're heading out and about. Your daytime high for Christmas is 62 degrees. Looking to the mountains, that rain going to switch over to some snowfall in the higher elevations as temperatures will be in the 30s, so watch for some snow showers for your Christmas Friday. A little bit of a white Christmas there across the mountain area. Definitely not what we can expect, though, in the deserts as temperatures do remain into the 60s. For your Friday, your daytime high is 61 degrees, and we'll fall back to 57 for your Saturday. Sunday and Monday look good, cooler, but plenty of bright sunshine as we wrap up the weekend. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
Chili harvest season is wrapping up across the Southwest, and as consumers add chili to their traditional foods this holiday season, growers are hoping that technology could soon help with some workforce issues. Anthony Moreno reports from New Mexico.
In New Mexico, chili is part of the state's identity so much that the official state question is red or green. Every year, New Mexicans rejoice as chili harvest season arrives. And as this season comes to a close, growers are hoping to find some answers to meet labor shortages plaguing the industry. Dino Cervantes, president of the New Mexico Chili Growers Association, says the industry has been shrinking in the state.
We continue to have problems here. They're not improving, and our acreage is reflecting that. This year we don't have the final numbers yet, but roughly about 7,000 acres of chili were grown this year. You compare that to the mid-90s when 35,000 acres of chili were grown in the state, same time period. And really that's all related to labor.
The industry faces an aging workforce and also less interest in manual labor jobs and rural living, often required for harvesting. Chili growers here are hoping that mechanical harvesting may offer some relief and provide incentive for growers to expand acreage. Cervantes says almost all red chili in the state is mechanically harvested, but the state's famous green chili still depends on harvesting by hand.
The mechanical harvesting isn't quite there yet, and that is in coordination with the breeding. And so you have both the breeding and the harvesting that have to be kind of married together.
There is one harvesting machine that Cervantes says shows promise. Its designer is Israeli engineer Elad Edgar. Edgar has spent part of this harvest season testing his machine near Hatch, New Mexico, known as the chili capital of the world, and also in Arizona, where he says the labor demand is even stronger.
Red pepper, it's harvest no problem. It's strip perfect, very low % left on the ground. The challenge is on the green chili to harvest gently and close to the ground and not pull the plant from the ground.
Earlier this harvest season, researchers in Los Lunas, New Mexico, tested one of Edgar's smaller mechanical harvesters on different varieties of green chili plants. Stephanie Walker, Extension Vegetable Specialist with New Mexico State University, led the research to find out which varieties work the best.
The varieties that have a lot of basal branches, those are very low-lying lateral branches below where you get the main fruit set starting on a plant. If we have a lot of basal branches in the plant, the picking mechanisms are catching the basal branches and uprooting those plants.
Walker says humans will always be able to do a better job harvesting a plant, but she says something should be in place when the hands are not available.
When a grower cannot get the labor, the hand crew that he needs when the green chili is ready, it's just a huge loss to that grower if he can't get the fruit out of the field somehow. Another possibility is second pick green chili. Let hand crews go through to get that first pick, and then when the plants regenerate the second pick, I think this machine would be optimum for doing a second pick on green chili plants.
Finding the answer to mechanically harvesting green chili is important to the industry and the state. The New Mexico Chili Growers Association says the industry provides over 4,000 jobs and contributes millions each year to the state's economy. President Dino Cervantes says they remain hopeful that mechanical harvesting for green chili is close to a reality.
It shows a great deal of promise. We're hopeful that we'll have actually a production machine available next year for one of the processors in the state and incorporate it into their process.
Cervantes says growers remain hopeful mechanical harvesting may soon be an option for an industry facing challenges besides labor shortages. There's also stiff foreign competition from Mexico and other countries in Southeast Asia that continue to import more and more chili into the United States for a cheaper price. For Fronteras, I'm Anthony Moreno in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
California crops may be at risk because of a bee shortage. Not only is the population of commercial honeybees in decline, but new evidence shows that numbers of wild bees that make domesticated bees more productive are also lagging. Bees are an integral part of California's nearly $3 billion a year almond industry.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. Diverging views on Islam in America. That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
The International Space Station astronauts are enjoying unpacking their holiday delivery today. An unmanned Russian cargo ship docked this morning. It carried more than 2 metric tons of fuel, water, food, and other supplies. As part of their holiday entertainment, the 6-man crew will watch the new Star Wars film, and they're using a laser projector and a 65-inch screen that was made specifically for use in the weightlessness of space. Imagine watching an opera with closed eyes. Earlier this year, KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando explained about a special service by the San Diego Opera. It helps visually impaired listeners and viewers enjoy all elements of a production.
When you go to the opera, this is what you expect to see. But if you're visually impaired, this is what you get. You have no super titles to translate the libretto, no sets to let you know where the action is taking place, and no costumes to convey the time period.
Opera isn't just music and singing. It's basically a full play/performance set to music and singing.
Bob Canish has been blind since birth. Opera drew him in with its impressive sounds, but initially he felt he wasn't as engaged as the sighted audience.
So what I wasn't able to do is I wasn't able to follow along with what was happening. I knew the synopsis, but I didn't know what part I was in now. What's going on now? Okay, everybody in the audience just laughed. Why are they laughing?
That's where Kay O'Neill comes in.
Come on, guys. We have a chance to really look it over before they get started. I do audio describing, and no one ever really knows what that is. We describe what goes on in the opera for someone who can't see it. The set has been moved to form 2 buildings with a street coming forward between them. Where we saw the inside of the Café Momu in the last scene, now we see the outside street view.
If you do not have your sight and you enjoy what an opera can offer to you, you'll be amazed at how much more the description fills in and allows you to enjoy the experience.
That's true because O'Neill and her fellow volunteers are passionate about what they're doing.
Look at the curtains. Aren't those marvelous? How would we describe those?
For La Boheme, O'Neill got to see the set up close so she could describe it better and convey how the look colored the production.
All the grayness and everything it just gives you that cold feeling.
The audio describers begin their work at the first rehearsal where they pick up a script of the super titles.
I have marked this ahead of time in rehearsals so that I know where I have a space where I can read some of the super titles. And so my job is to, during the pauses, get in what is happening, like Mimi staggers forward leaning on the building.
The challenge for them is to read enough of the dialogue and describe enough of the action so that you can be engaged in the parts of the opera that you can't gain auditorially, but while still allowing you to hear all this beautiful singing and music that's going on.
So it takes several rehearsals for us to have this ready, and then we crawl up the stairs to the top of this place, which is a feat in itself, and get ready on a microphone to describe for the people who have come in.
So then there's this little earpiece that you put in your ear. There's a little unit to which it connects that you put in your pocket. Then they'll get into the opera.
When she hears Rodolfo coming, she hides herself behind the corner of the building.
They do not read in a monotone voice. They do inject life into it and really help to guide you along so that whatever the opera is going to deliver to you next, that you can pick up with your ears, you're ready for it. But what really brought my complete enjoyment of opera to life really was when the describing came in.
This happened because Angela Kanish was working with the opera and working with the students, and her husband Bob is blind. And she said, you know, Bob loves to come to the opera and sit by me, but I have to say, and now this is happening, and then this is happening. And she'd say, people next door would go, shh.
When the describers came in, that's when it put a lot of things into focus. Because let's say a describer is describing a scene or some action that's going on and there's no singing. Now that you know what's going on, you can then focus in on how brilliantly the composer paints that picture with music.
And how brilliantly the audio describers help the visually impaired get a chance to see that bigger picture. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Bob Kanish also oversees audience services here at KPBS. San Diego Opera provides audio description services at all of their performances. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks very much for joining us. We are going to be back here again tomorrow night. We hope you have yourself a great evening.